And we're going to talk about United. In fact, this literally in my script, this next segment is called Rob Green's Life at Chelsea.
Wow, yeah, that'll be brief.
I was going to say, is that it now?
Not according to this. On a semi-serious note, the final year of your career, but playing at a different type of club, a different size of club, with due respect to the other clubs you played for, did you learn a lot in this final year of your playing career?
All joking aside, I mean, I played 15 minutes in a pre-season friendly, and I learnt more from that 15 minutes than I had done for the previous 5 years. And it was just playing for that 15 minutes with players who operate at such a high level. And no disrespect to Stephen, I played with him for England.
I get me coat.
But just how, and all of a sudden it sunk in and went, this is having played in teams that didn't really play out from the back so much. It was the fundamental dynamics of where players are, the positionings of what they are and what's expected of the keeper. In that 15 minutes, the players, all of a sudden, you just realise that's how it works. And in having only ever been on the team on the other side, thinking, sort of putting your tin hats on and trying to defend for 90 minutes, you never really looked at how they did it. You just looked at how to stop it. So that actually was a really sort of a quite good learning moment for me. And it was, it was all a bit too late in my career.
Was that the manager, though, or the players? Because obviously Sarri last year was, when he came in, everyone said, he's a breath of fresh air and he's got this style of play. But then everyone went against it. So was it the manager or the actual players that you...
No, it was more the players than the manager. The manager had a set way of playing and he had his style, and it was well drilled by the players every day. And it was... got a bit tiresome at times, but it was a way that he wanted to play, and it was certain movements from the centre half to get the ball out. You guaranteed a pass for the goalkeeper, but the players would then just say, well, you'd have your centre Jorginho, whether players loved him or fans love him or hate him. He would come to me or a goalkeeper, 5 yards out, and say, no, give me the ball. I'm fine here. And you think, blimey, this is the first time everyone is 5 yards out wanting the ball off you.
15 minutes of playing out for the back was all it took for Sarri to say no more.
That's enough. Yeah, it was when I ran on and he had to read the name on the back of the shirt. That's it, to find out who I was. I knew I was in trouble then. But it was, that was enough to see me out the door. Yeah.
So do you think that if you'd had that experience earlier in your career, being even being a third choice keeper at a really top club, that would have made you into a better goalkeeper?
I think it could have done. Yeah, I think I was speaking to my family about it, and I thought, it is, as much as I love playing at the clubs that I had been at, that just to get that experience and that level of understanding and the expectation, and just to learn off the top end players what it took to be there on a mental and physical level and a technical level. Then, and also, like, you look at the way the game's changed over the course of the years, and you're now playing with players who are sort of 18, 19-year-old lads who will, that weren't even born when I made my debut. And so that transition of the way the game's changed and stuff like that, to realise that and to be at the forefront of that early enough in your career, I think that really makes a big difference.
Well, these players now that you just mentioned, the 18, 19-year-olds that look world class, they look like they're going to be incredible players that are coming into the Chelsea sides and the top sides. They've been bred on that because the academy system changed, and everyone's been playing out from the back through their academies, certainly more than we did. We were all about winning games. We were taught to get the ball into the full-backs, run down the channels, chase your front man, support, win second balls, all of that kind of stuff. So by the time you get into your early 20s, mid-20s, to then be told, right, it's playing out from the back, and the system changed, the style changed while we were in the team. So it was a little bit foreign, I suppose, for us, rather than the players now that are all breaking into the first team. They've been doing it since they were 10, 11-year-olds. It's what they've been taught all the way through the academy systems. And, you've seen it for England now, and under Gareth Southgate, we're starting to see the benefits of that.
Did you notice the difference in the mentality of Kepa when he came in, compared to like what you say there? There was not a reluctance, but it's like a nervousness to play out from the back. If he makes a mistake, it just seems that he's just not flustered by it at all. Is that the biggest difference in the keepers nowadays, is their ability to play out from the back?
I think That and ability between myself and Kepa might have been.
But you were always a good shot stopper and things like that.
Yeah,
but the game moved on, didn't it? And
the
then
expectation of playing out from the back and how to do it. It was when he puts a ball down and right foot, left foot will ping a perfect pass into the path of the fullback who's making a run down the wing. You go, wow. He could play in centre midfield. And you go back to the likes of where someone like Barthez was with United years ago, that you say, well, he actually plays out in training and stuff like that. Kepa could do that and hold his own, no problems. And Willy Caballero is also excellent at playing out from the back with his feet. And yeah, it's just, that's what the expectation is now. That's, as Liam was saying, that's what you get brought up on in the academy structures, and that's the way it's gone forward. I mean, I remember not having the back pass rule. That's how much it's that's A, how old I am, and B, how much it's changed. So that's, as you say, it's just the expectation. And, they'll say, well, I'll get 1 in 1,000 wrong or 1 a season wrong. But the way we're playing, it's a fundamental way of how we're going to play. So that's how we're going to do it. And that 1 a season, we'll take that on the chin.
So in terms of when you're training, and I appreciate I may well have an imperfect understanding of how training sessions work at Premier League football teams, but I sort of imagine it as when you have like sort of the five-a-sides or whatever, you've got your 2 first-choice goalkeepers at either end. Where does the third-choice keeper come into that in terms of match situations? Do you actually get a good enough runaround to keep yourself sharp?
Yeah, you're involved. I mean, there's... there'll be 3-4 teams. So you've got 30 players. You've got kids joining in from the side. You'll have enough teams, and you'll just rotate around, and you get your bit. And actually, you in training, you're doing more work than the first choice keeper. Let's not forget that at Chelsea they're playing sort of 60 games last season, and so Kepa's having to rest up because he played pretty much 95% of them, and so he's having days of recovery days or whatever it might be, and you're there to fill in the role of a keeper at some point when he's having a rest, or just to relieve the workload of him. And and so actually you're probably getting more work than him in training. So as much as we've laughed and joked about it, I like to think I earned my corn.
I did speak to a goalkeeper once who said that a manager of his had basically asked him to kind of like pose as an opposition goalkeeper. So almost like to study a goalkeeper that they were going to come up against soon, and what they would do on the ball to try and replicate it. Did you ever have to do anything like that?
Playing out from the back sometimes, but realistically, I mean, I've posed as left backs, as centre halves, as all sorts of positions, and I dread to think what those opponents thought of my interpretation of what they would do.
I heard you made a very good cone.
The mannequin, a slightly larger mannequin. Yeah.
It's the other thing about playing at a club like Chelsea versus the other clubs you've played at. Like, I grew up supporting a team who played a lot in the Premier League, but you were always kind of thinking, when are we getting to 40 points? And I imagine as a player, you would have had that a lot as well until you got to Chelsea. It's like you get to February, March time and people don't have bags under their eyes. Yeah,
it was always, for me, and I don't know about you guys, you sort of never had the experiences of being relegated as often as I did, but it was sort of hitting that subconscious point of 40 points. You sort of had maybe a subconscious sigh of relief, and sometimes a more conscious one. But it was also, and I explained to one of the coaches there that it was the first time in my career I was watching, and no disrespect to the 2 teams, it was teams in the lower parts of the region, say a Fulham v Cardiff, or to pick 2 clubs off the top of my head, that you're looking at that result and going, I don't care what the result is. Every other season, I'm always looking at them going, oh, Christ, I really hope they do us a favour and nick a point off them or something. And all of a sudden, I'm watching Man City or Tottenham or Arsenal thinking, well, I hope they lose. And this is the first time in my career it's actually happened like that.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
The way you have to change your mentality and the way you look at it. But, yeah, I think it's a nice situation to be in, though, isn't it?
It was, as a swan song, it was a lovely position to be and a lovely way to end, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people understand or realise the pressure that you're under when you're in the relegation battle, or you're down at the bottom and you want to get to that magic 40-point mark. And as soon as you do, it's the biggest relief off your shoulders. And then you suddenly get a more of a freedom to go and play and relax and enjoy your football again.
I think the other part of that, I imagine, as footballers as well, is when you're at Chelsea and the worst thing that can happen potentially is you don't get in the Champions League. Nobody loses their job if you don't get in the Champions League. People lose their job if the club gets relegated.
It's a huge factor, and you look at it and you look around the dressing room, and also you look at it as a negative point of view as well. That if you don't get it's kind of look like the manager changing, losing his job and stuff like that. When you're down the bottom, you're desperately keen to do well, but also if you do badly, you're going to change a manager. It's a change. You might lose your place in the team. That sort of turmoil kicks in the back of your mind. And at Chelsea or a bigger club, it's like, well, if we don't get in the Champions League, this guy might be out. We don't like him. Let's get him out. Let's get a new one in, and we can work better under a new guy. So it sometimes doesn't work as well the way you think as well.